Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're in deck number 624. Let's talk about Obuun, Daya Ancestor. Now this is red, green, white. Help me out, Naya? I think so. We got an elf spirit. Now there's possibilities there if you want to go elves or spirits or what have you, both. But now this was one of the commanders from the precons from Zendikar Rising, and I know we're right in the middle of Commander Legend stuff. This deck I had almost done, and I was lacking a few cards, and Commander Legends came out and let me finish this, so it was just kind of happened next in the rotation. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to one land you control becomes an XX elemental creature with trample and haste, where X is its power. That's still a land. Now, Landfall, this gets a counter. So, you've got a double threat here. You've got Obuun that's going to get big, and then the land he makes that's going to keep progressively getting bigger. Now, yeah. So, the deck kind of has two parts here. It is, what I did was part Landfall and part +1/+1 counter. Now, the ramp side of it is insane because that's what we want to do. With Landfall decks, you almost, if you can't trigger that Landfall, you almost feel like you're behind. So, we do have a little more lands than normal, and then we also have ways to go find land. So let's look at our ramp, shall we? There's a bunch. Now there are a million different ways to build this deck, and I know there are a lot better ways than what you're about to see, but we have, I guess we'll do the artifact ramp first. It's kind of weird having this much artifact ramp, but you really want to get it out. You get the Soul Ring, Talisman of Unity, Talisman of Impulse, the Selesnya Signet, Burnished Hearts puts lands in your hand, and then the Arcane Signet. That's it for the artifacts, Then we have our, Rampant Growth era stuff. The Rampant Growth, Cultivate, Harrow, Beanstalk Giant, which also doubles as a big beater later on. Colony Heart Expedition, Lotus Cobra, it's got that Landfall, a free mana, Keeper of Progenitus, because this is exactly what we want, right? Fertilid, Yavimaya Elder, Nissa's Renewal. I mean, 6 mana for 3 land cards, but it does cost a lot for 6 mana. But that kind of doesn't matter in this deck because you're just going to accidentally have a whole bunch of lands. And then we have Reshape the Earth, new mythic from Commander Legends. Now this one I absolutely love. I have another copy of this. I pulled 2. So I'm going to wait and play the other one in 5 colors because for 9 mana, which is, nothing to get to in green, you search your library for 10 land cards. Now that is, in this deck, that is 10 landfall triggers. That's the whole reason why it's here. And also, dropping 10 lands into play with your commander in play is kind of big game. But I will use the other one in 5 color because I really want to pull off a gate win. Right? If you even have 1 gate or the maze, you can just oops into all of it. I guess Rites of Flourishing, double meat, double cheese here. It's draw and double land drops, Mina and Den. Now, as I said, this is a precon, and you're seeing a lot of, the precon cards in here. It was not a bad precon, to be honest with you. They've really gotten better. Now, here is something else the fact that our commander turns a land into a beater until end of turn. Now, Sylvan Advocate, of course, just is going to we're going to control 6 or more lands, so it's going to make it bigger. But also, let's make all lands indestructible. Now, I really thought hard about if I had a Living Plains, it totally would have been in here, but that's a little out of the price range at the moment. But yeah, having indestructible beaters is, I hear that's pretty good. Now, and I'm just playing Vivify because it's cute, right? It is an instant. It has multiple applications. I have at instant speed turned people's problem lands into creatures in response to a board wipe to get rid of that Maze of Ith or that Gas Cradle. Yeah, I've done it. And heck, it even replaces itself. So I guess first we'll go through the landfall pile. Yeah, we'll do the landfall pile before we do the +1 counter pile. So it's just a ton of landfall creatures. And for the life of me, I've never understood why Vine Lasher Kudzu. I realized they only use the landfall keyword in Zendikar sets, and Vine Lasher came out way before Zendikar. It came out in the original Ravnica block. But it's landfall. I mean, it not only is it landfall, it's landfall and +1/+1 counter. So I felt like I had to put it in here. Scoot Swarm, it's just kind of amazing. If you control 6 or more lands, you create a top copy of Scoot Swarm. Now, if you've got 6 or more lands and you drop the 9-drop spell that puts 10, and I'm going to need a calculator. Play this deck. Admonition Angel, of course, is going to double as removal. Could potentially remove a whole bunch of stuff. Trove Warden, the exclusive for the deck. We're going to roll through these just regular landfall things. Kazandu Nectarpot. Territorial Scythecat. Landfall encounters, Prowling Felidar. Counters. Canopy Baloth. It's not counter, but it's +2 to end of turn. We have the Skyclave Pickaxe, which is an equipment with landfall. Historically, those have been pretty good in the past. Spitfire like it. We got to have the Kool-Aid Man, right? Omnath, Locust of Rage. By the way, talking about Omnath, Jason Alt has a Omnath Discord for Omnath fans. I'm part of it, and there's probably a lot of y'all are too. If not, it's out there. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. Anyway, Akum Hellhound, Brushfire Elemental. Kind of like this one. Emeria Angel, because having an Air Force of white birds is not bad too. Makindi Ox, and this potentially you can tap out all your opponents. Zendikar's Royal. We're just going to be getting some free 2/2s. Why not? And if 2/2s are not big enough for you, we'll play the Rampaging Balos so that we can get 4/4s. Right? I love Rampaging Balos. It's one of my favorite landfall cards. So now we'll get into the +1/+1 thing. Conclave Mentor, of course, a great card. Scavenging Ooze it does go with the +1/+1 counter thing. I kind of almost deem it removal or discard, because you're getting rid of cards in graveyard, and that's just like a second hand. I mean, a card in a graveyard, you almost have more access to it than you did if it was in your library, because there are more reanimation effects than there are tutors. So being able to exile specific cards out of a graveyard and getting 1/1 counters for your troubles and life is kind of not bad. Then I wanted to go like the Abzan Falconer. 1/1 counter creatures have flying. The Tuskguard Captain says, yeah, now they have trample. Bramblewood Paragon says the same thing. just duplication here. 1/1 counter. Now, we might accidentally have some of those that are warriors. That's not why it's in there. That second line. 1/1 counters have trample. Basri Solidarity. Here again, y'all know I love this rate. 2 mana to put a counter on your entire team. That's we haven't ever got that rate before. So, Luminarch Aspirant. Put a 1/1 counter on a creature. Invigorating Surge. I like this one. Hey, put a 1/1 counter on something, and then double the number of 1/1 counters on it. So that land that you're making, obviously before you go to combat, you would do this to Obuun, and have 2 really insane beaters that turn. That odds are we'll have trample. Inspiring Call. Yeah, this is some card draw. And team protection. Because, it's not going to take long. You get your commander up there pretty big, and the table's going to gun for it. Battery's Lieutenant. Counters. Now, Soul's Might is just a chef's kiss in this deck. Now, I realize 5 mana, but here again, we've established that mana cost kind of has a curve in a landfall deck, right? We have a little more than normal. We got supply runners. Put a 1/1 counter on each other. Armorcraft Judge. Now, yes, there are the enchantments and the doubling seasons and anointed processions and things like that would be amazing. Not anointed procession. You know what I'm talking about. If you got them, go nuts, run them. Now, Waker of the Wilds kind of had. I love that this one actually puts the counters on the land, and that kind of works well with all of your +1/+1 counter shenanigans. And it's not till end of turn. It's a creature land now. Last 4 cards, removal wise, I guess. Ground Assault is just a great card. When you've got a ton of lands. Planar Outburst. Love this one. I mean, it was literally selected for the deck. It was in the pre-con. Excuse me. And then Terastodon. Terastodon is so versatile. There have been many times. Obviously the most popular play is to pop 3 problem permanents from your opponents, but I have, I've spent 8 mana for 18 power worth of 4 creatures. I've done it. And we have enough lands, we might want to do it. And then the ultimate removal is, of course, player removal. Overrun. We do have some creatures. We do have capability to make other creatures. Overrun's a big thing. It's a big game. There's a reason why they stopped printing it. They didn't really. They stopped for a long time. Because in regular drafts, it was ruining drafts. You just opened a pack, and if you got an overrun, at that you just took the overrun, and then you drafted every green creature thereafter. And if you drew your overrun, you just won. It's hard to mess with that. So there was a long time where they went without it, and they had like rare, different variations of it. Anyway, let's get to our non-basic lands, shall we? Now, land creatures is a thing, and we're putting counters, so Stirring Wildwood actually kind of fits the deck. Search lands, landfall trigger lands, the Crow's Inversion. Now, this one does come into play tapped. If you've got real fetches, hey, that's awesome. I don't. Evolving Wilds, Blighted Woodland, Terramorphic Expanse, Naya Panorama, Myriad Landscape. Then we start getting into the actual colored lands, the Command Tower, Jungle Shrine, Gruld Guildgate, Boros Guildgate, Celestia Guildgate. So when we cast that 9 mana spell and we pull out 3 Guildgates, people will get scared. Be like, hold on, wait a minute. Needle Spires, another creature land. I probably should have put more creature lands in the deck, just simply because it's the theme of the deck. Boros Garrison, Selesnya Sanctuary, and the Gruul Turf. That's Obuun. Like I said, I know there are many, many ways to power this deck up. It is not hard to do. Not hard to do at all. So, I've played it a couple times. It's done well for me. It was a lot of fun. That's what I consider doing well. It ain't got to win. I'm not out to win. I'm out to have a good time, you know? Because that's what my opinion of Commander is. It's not I can't tell you the last time I've won a game. Oh, gosh. It's a bunch of friends sitting around having a good time. We just have enough cards in front of us, you know. There's some people that play bridge or whatever. This is our game. This is our social time, you know. So, anyway, 624 done. We'll put it on the wall. And I think now I'm actually ready to get back to actually the Commander Legends decks. There's a whole bunch of them. There's still a few I don't have. I'm going to go get today the actual Commander Legends pre-con decks. My intention is to get as many as I possibly can because those have some amazing reprints in them. Yeah, I need more sword to play. I need more of everything that are in those decks. Not to mention the two commanders. So, yeah. I don't know how I'm going to work with those two particular decks. Obviously, I won't leave them as is. You know, I like to think that we can tweak those decks a little bit here and there to our personal flavor. So, that's probably what I'll do. Anyway, I do appreciate y'all watching, for liking, subscribing, because if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe. If you've watched 16 minutes into the video and you're still here, you care about what I have to say, so go subscribe. Anyway, I do appreciate y'all. Big shout out to the patrons. Thank y'all so much. Without y'all, it wouldn't be possible. I appreciate it. But right now, we're going to shuffle and cut.